Several years ago, my mother passed away. 3 years after that, my father passed away, and just a couple years ago, my brother died. Sometimes we ask why when these things happen. I found a story as I was grieving that greatly encouraged my heart. A teenage girl named Chelsea was very broken up because her grandmother had died. She was talking with her pastor, and he asked her some questions. He said, "Chelsea, if you had the power to take away the pain from your grandmother in those final weeks, would you do it?" And she said, "Yes." He said, "Well, if you had the power to send your grandmother on a wonderful vacation with all her old friends and family members, would you do it?" And she said, "Yes, of course I would do that." He said, "Well, if you had the power to move her out of her old house in that bad neighborhood and put her in a big, beautiful house in a great neighborhood, would you do it?" And she said, "Well, of course I would do that." And then he said, "If you had the power to allow your grandmother to see Jesus face to face, knowing how much she loved Jesus, would you do it?" And she said, "Yes, but I don't have the power to do any of those things." The pastor said, "You're right, you don't, but God does." And he did. When your grandmother died, she got a whole new body, one without pain, without suffering. She was transported into a new life without sorrow and sickness. She's been on a wonderful vacation with all her old friends and her family members. Beyond that, she's moved out of that bad little house in that bad little neighborhood, and now she's in a beautiful place in a great neighborhood. And best of all, she's seen Jesus face to face. You know, I want to encourage you. One of the good things that comes out of the bad thing of death is that the person who dies, if they're a Christian, is graduated into glory. And I want to remind you, even though we suffer and we hurt when they're gone, Paul says that the sufferings of this present life are not worthy to be compared with the glory that shall be within us. I want to remind you that for us to live is Christ, but to die is more Christ. God uses death as a doorway into eternal life.